Right, topodds.com, Top Odds Compare on Twitter. Brandon is going to take us through the most important game for me at the moment is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock in Khartoum, South Africa against Sudan, with a very, very interesting Bafana side. Brandon, what do you think?
Hi Neil, how's it guys? Yeah, AFCON qualifiers, very exciting. New coach of Bafana. With the 2022 plan, I think that's what they've called it.
Vision 2022. Yeah, that's the one.
That's and yeah, we've got to play Sudan in Khartoum. It's not going to be easy. It's never easy playing away in Africa. But funnily enough, and to my surprise, the bookmakers, that's Allen Bookmaker and World Sports Betting, have Bafana up at favourites to win this game at 12 to 10. And Sudan at just under 5 to 2. That's 24 to 10 with Allen Bookmaker and World Sports Betting. It's going to be a very, very interesting encounter. And I don't think I can put any money on Bafana, to be honest.
Right, okay. World Sports Betting have make us favourites. Just give me those odds again.
Yeah, South Africa up at 12 to 10 with Allen Bookmaker and World Sports Betting. And Sudan are just under 5 to 2. So if you put $100 on Sudan, you get a 250 rand return. Whereas if you put 100 rand on South Africa, you'd only get 120 rand return. So big favourite South Africa to win the game, and I fancy a little bit of the draw in this fixture. I'm not too sure how you guys feel.
Yeah, I think, Mark, you said that when you came in, wasn't it? Come back with something.
Well, if they get a point, yeah, but obviously, with the bookmakers, I do think that we don't obviously know too much about Sudanese football, but you'd like to think that Bafana might just go there and get the 3 points, but I do think that a draw is the likable one. But if you're a betting man, Neil, and I know you are, and you're a big fan of Sheikh's Mashaba, I'm sure you're going to put a tenner on Sudan to win.
No, mate. I had a good look at FIFA this morning. They're ranked 115 in the world, Sudan. They've never been above 100. None of their players. It's quite a closed country, northern Sudan and Khartoum. They've just kind of hived off the south of it and made it a kind of Christian republic. Lots of political trouble. None of them play overseas. The highest rank they've ever been is 100. We're still 69. We've been up in the 40s in the last couple of years. I do see this as a win for South Africa, and at the very worst, a vital away point. And if Nigeria get thrown out, Brandon, on Monday, it's what I was blogging about this morning and putting all the stuff out. FIFA saying that if they don't replace their chairman, who was politically appointed, by Monday, Nigeria will be thrown out, leaving just 3 sides in Group A, and 2 of them qualify. So I'm pretty optimistic at this point.
Yeah, well, if you want to have a look at the Nigeria game with all the trouble that's going on behind the scenes there, they're playing Congo. Yeah. They are at home. And they're very, very strong favourites. Both bookmakers, that's Allen Bookmaker and World Sports Betting, have Nigeria up at 1 to 4 to beat Congo at home. Yeah. And I think they should win that fixture. And like you say, from a group like this, I mean, you look at it and you say South Africa and Nigeria should be the ones to get through if Nigeria don't get thrown out. And if they do, maybe we need a little bit of luck.
Yeah. I think that it would be a backdoor. Everyone's talking about how often we get a backdoor. I mean, if you remember, Ethiopia got docked 3 points for playing a suspended player against Botswana, and even that wasn't good enough for us. But we would have finished second in that group, despite the defeat against Ethiopia. And in AFCON, we have to remember that the top 2 sides go through. It's not just the top one, and in this time anyway. And I think there's a good chance. I think Congo are ranked just around where we are, 67-ish. We're 69. They got in through the back door because Rwanda were thrown out for playing a DRC player called Daddy, and it's who's your daddy and all that stuff. So I think Congo aren't that strong. I think Sudan aren't a great footballing power in Africa. It's just about Nigeria. 9 games against them, 7 wins for Nigeria, a draw in 2004, and then I see a win against them in 1996-7, around there. Do you remember that at all, Marky, beating Nigeria? Do you remember that game? I'm afraid I don't. I was in England at the time.
Neither. I would have been there. But
it was only a friendly.
Yeah, exactly. And unless it was injured. But, 97, 17 years ago. I've headed a lot of soccer balls since then, so Neil, don't ask me stupid questions.
Yeah, heading footballs is never a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you would think, Neil, that South Africa need to get something if they're going to get out of this group. And yeah, like I say, I wouldn't be putting money on them to win, but definitely a point. I don't think they'll do worse than that.
Yeah. Okay, mate. Listen, were you surprised last night to see Argentina 4-0 up against the world champions Germany?
I was surprised, and I was very happy to see Di Maria play the way he played.
Oh, Man United fans.
Man United signing. But yeah, it was a real shock to me that German side's the same side. I mean, bar a few substitutions that he made in the second half that played in the World Cup final. I mean, and they were a little bit disappointing, but it is a friendly. You can't read too much into it. Argentina came there for a little bit of revenge, and I thought it was a little bit humorous that they made them stand for 10 minutes before the game and watch the Germans retire and revel in their glory.
That's right.
Before they off. So yeah, it was fairly interesting. I was shocked about that. But there are two friendly games that are coming up. I think they are tonight, and that's France and Spain.
Yeah,
Italy and the Netherlands. These are two massive games in terms of to see where sides are after the World Cup. And Joe, I don't know what you guys think of the Spanish side and that he's gone with a little bit of youth, Del Bosque. I think that's his policy going forward, and they'll be interesting to watch.
No, certainly, I agree. It's the Spanish team, after the horrendous World Cup, shock World Cup to most people. I think he's gone. Well, he's definitely gone for youth. But we know the Spanish have got a abundance of talented players in their youth, and from the under 17, 20, 23s, all these players, still the same style of football. A French team that were probably a little bit unlucky to get knocked out in the World Cup. Yeah. Also very talented players. I think it should make out for an interesting one. And unfortunately, it's just a friendly because it would be nice to see them in a more competitive game.
So, I mean, my question here is, what does Del Bosque wish? What does he want to prove? I mean, he's won the Euro, he's won the World Cup, and they keep him on as manager. Maybe it's time for fresh ideas. I'm not too sure.
It's almost like to have a friendly like this so quickly after the World Cup is almost a way of confirming that Del Bosque should just get on his bike and leave it to the next youngster. Obviously, Pep Guardiola is the one that everyone talks about taking over at Spain eventually. And it just feels to me like he's just overstayed his welcome. He's done the best that he possibly can. And now what's he going to do tonight? I mean, how does he impress us again and prove to people that he can take them back to the top? I suppose he'll see it differently. But, against France in Paris, it's going to be very, very tough. That's a 9 o'clock kickoff tonight. I imagine SuperSport will have it on 2:03 tonight. And that Spanish side really needs a restructure, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. And then, to turn you guys away just from soccer, just quickly.
Go on.
The Rugby Championship this weekend, it's a massive game for South Africa. They play Australia in Perth. That is a home away from home. And surprising to me in this fixture, I don't know if you guys follow rugby as I do, but Australia up at favourites at 6-10, and on the spread with both bookmakers, it's Allen Bookmaker and What's Betting, they have South Africa at +3.5, so they're giving us 3.5 point starts in the game, and I think we'd be much better than this Australian side. I don't know if you guys can shed any light on that.
Well, okay, so the two games, New Zealand-Australia, New Zealand won convincingly the second one.
The first one they drew, yes.
Even though they lost a man early on.
I think it must be the odds on because of the way South Africa have played. No, the first game, I mean, I was at Loftus, and unfortunately the conditions weren't the best. But unfortunately, didn't watch last weekend. But obviously, we've always been known as a very physical team. Our front pack is very strong. And, apparently what I can hear and what I gather is that last weekend we got, our physicality was, the Argentinians overawed us. And I think that's why the general rugby fan is looking at our team. And our team's obviously not performing to the standard and level that we expect them to. So, I would definitely take a bet on South Africa if they're going to give us +3 points.
Well, I thought the Springboks were as bad as I've ever seen them in the two games against Argentina. But then, Argentina aren't an easy side to play. We know that. Very strong in the forwards. And I don't think there's much optimism about the Boks at the moment. So a big win against Australia could turn all that round.
So, I mean, you look at this Rugby Championship and we do it year after year when we lose the Rugby Championship on bonus points, basically. I mean, we play Argentina. We battle to beat them. And then New Zealand go there and thump them by 30 and thump them at home by 70 and win the Rugby Championship on bonus points. So, those two games, you've got to get maximum points out of them. They didn't. It's going to cost them later on in the tournament. But I think they'll just about win this game in Perth. They've got a good record in Perth. There'll be a lot of expats in the stands. And, I think we'll get a good win against Australia and then have to go to New Zealand and hope for the best.
Yeah, no, I mean, New Zealand just looked like a step too far for the side that I saw playing against Argentina. You saw them live at Loftus, Fishy, so you'll know more than I do.
I didn't actually. Yeah. I was at the game, Neil. I didn't say I watched. I was in the box. I don't know watch a single minute of the rugby, to be honest.
Watching the box from the box is difficult.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I understand that. Great stuff. Okay, Brandon, thanks for that, mate. I mean, we've got to look at South Africa coming back with something from the Sudan, and they are favourites. I mean, that's the interesting thing from your perspective.
Yeah, sure, most definitely. I didn't think they'd be favourites, especially on the way that they've been playing. New coach, it's his first game. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Bafana Bafana, but like I say, they've got to come away with something there if they're going to progress into AFCON. And this would be the game. If you had to sit down and pick an opponent, I think Sudan would be the one to start.
Yeah, okay. All right, mate. Great stuff, Brandon. We'll have a look at those bets next week when we come back. It'll also be after the Nigeria game, if it's played.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Brandon.
Cheers, Brandon. That's Brandon from TopOdds. TopOdds.com is the best way to put it, because then people can go straight on the internet, look at what they do. Green menu down the left. You can get odds on any sport you want from 3 or 4 different bookmakers. No, the Yuxke's big, mate.
Yep.
No, yeah. Hit the bottle and all that. That's happening on TopOdds.com.